So, good morning, welcome back. It's the Saturday before Easter. Not a lot has changed in the world. Still unlikely to get down to Italy anytime very soon. They've prolonged now till May. So I'm going to be playing cars again. I've been skiing this week. So I've just been for what'll probably be the last ski run of the year. Here, this place is called Kutai. Hang on, there's a car coming past. We're about a lorry, in fact. About half an hour away from Innsbruck. We start off at 2,000 meters. It's a beautiful, beautiful ski resort. Both sides of the valley. Goes all the way across. It's huge. Today is the Thursday before Easter. It's extremely warm, so we thought we'd come out, do one last run, and then get my tennis stuff out. So I'm going to turn the camera around now and do a panoramic of the whole place so that you can get a feel for it. I've got a bit of a sunburn, but it's looking better. I haven't been to the hairdressers, which I really need to do, and perhaps trim some of this. But for today, and I don't know if we'll get it all done today, but we've got some more parts. So we've got the fuel pump that didn't quite make it through last time. We're going to start with that. We've got a set of discs and pads, and new brake fluid, and we've got water pump and timing chain. Timing belt rather. So I'm going to start off with the petrol pump, and that should hopefully just make the car run, and we'll be able to see even where the cooling system's leaking. Then we'll either move on to the brakes or the timing belt. We'll see how we're doing, because I do want to go and do a couple of things with the family today as well, so I won't be here all day. So let's get stuck in. There you go. That was pretty quick and simple. That's back in. We just have to plug the fuel line and the juice back onto it, and we're done. Okay, well, in theory we should now hear the pumps prime. I can hear it running back into the tank. So let's see. Okay, well, it started but then stalled again, so that's no better than we were with the old pump. Okay. There we go. I don't see a little bit of smoke, but nothing major there. Right. Turn it off again. Check for leaks. So that all looks good. That looks very good, in fact. Up here, we've had that off. That looks fine too. So the rail is running. Well, that's a result. I'm going to close the bonnet, open the garage door while I've got the engine running a bit, and I'm going to try and manoeuvre it a little bit and see if it'll move under its own steam, see what the clutch says and things like that. Okay, well, it starts and runs like a dream, but as you saw, there is a little bit of a petrol leak, and it looks like it's coming amazingly out of the plug, which would seem the electrical connector plug, which would seem a very strange place for fuel to be leaking out of. So there's not much for it. We have to take it back off. Okay, well, that was a lot of faffing about, but that seems to have fixed it. I'm going to do the brakes now. I'm going to just change the discs and the pads because they are grinding a bit, and we'll see how we do. If I have time, I'll change the brake fluid as well, but I don't think we'll get around to doing the timing belt today. Okay, so as you can see, not in the best of shape. Obviously just been stood for too long. Might as well change them out, they're not very expensive. And as you can also see, we're hemorrhaging some sort of coolant in the back there, so we'll have to find out where that's coming from later on. But first, let's get the caliper up and out of the way, brush it down a little bit, change the disc and the pads. And you can see that despite the fact that it was stood for such a long time, the copper grease that was used on the nuts, and you can see traces of it here as well on the brakes, have kept everything nice and loose. So nothing seized. And I've got some copper grease, so I shall be greasing them up again before I put everything back together. Okay, so quickly check the brake fluid reservoir to make sure it's not going to overflow as I reset the caliper. As I push the caliper back, obviously it pushes the brake fluid back up into here. That looks okay. And brake fluid is particularly nasty stuff, so you don't want to go spreading that everywhere. Petrol's a pain, and the coolant is also a pain, but brake fluid is really nasty stuff. So if you look in here, you'll see the caliper piston is almost reset. Go back a little further. This moves freely, and then we'll just flip this out of the way and get the disc off. Okay, so unfortunately that didn't quite go according to plan. The top bolt here came out. You can see that very easily. This one here, unfortunately, I've rounded. That was stuck, so there's not much for it. I've just got the HSS drill bits. I'm going to drill it out, and then we'll have plenty of shaft to remove it afterwards and replace it. This one's not too bad. Okay, so we got the caliper off. There's the rest of that nut there. I'm going to try and unscrew that now. Put this up here. In fact, there's no leakage that I can see. It looks very good inside. You can still see the original Volkswagen emblems, Volkswagen Audi. Pipe looks pretty good too. We'll have a look once we change the fluid and see what's coming up. Pads, well, we'll have to clean up here a bit, and the disc. But this, well, it's not too bad, but it's surface rust, I guess, on the disc guard. Other than that, everything seems to be fine. Okay, so get this unscrewed. You can see where it's rusted through on the other side. That's basically our problem. That's just what happens here is over winter a lot of people drive obviously through the snow and the roads are salted, and you need to very, very thoroughly wash out especially the wheel arches and the brake systems, because otherwise all of this does tend to seize up quite rapidly. I think the other problem is there's a bit of, you see on this top one there was a rubber cover. It looks like it's broken off on the bottom one. I imagine, in fact, because there's a screw missing there that would hold the that's been snapped off, but that wasn't me. So it does look a bit like this was done by a not very good garage at some point who just kind of skimped over stuff and broke stuff without mentioning it. So we'll get that out, and we'll see how we do. Well, all in all, it's been a pretty frustrating morning. I'm glad we got that fuel leak fixed, and hopefully that holds. I'll be checking it and checking it again and again, because not very happy about fuel leaks. The brakes have been a nightmare. Everything, I spoke too soon saying that, you know, everything had been greased up properly. Obviously hadn't, and the garage had done a pretty shoddy job the last time round. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put everything back together. I'm going to have to buy some more parts, because I don't want it to be, you know, just done quickly and not very well. But I do need to put it back together so that I can get it out of the way for during the week until the parts arrive. So I'm going to do that now. There is a nice new brake disc and some nice new pads. I'll put them all there for now, and then I'll get the screws and get the new bolts, and then we'll take it from there. So I guess it'll be next week. So let's put it together first, and then I'll come back in. Okay, and there we go. The little rattle clips are in. There are no bolts holding the caliper in, but I will just slide one in, put the wheel back on, drop the car down, and go and park it back in the corner. Okay, well, that's about it for today's video. It's a shame we didn't get more done, but that's old cars, just like old houses, lots of surprises. I'm going to order the bits that I need. I'm thinking I'm going to need something to recut the threads on those bolts, and then some new bolts and some screws, and probably some WD-40. That wouldn't be bad. Not sure about the brake calipers. But then as soon as I have a minute, I'll be back down here and we'll get on and change the rest of the brakes and do the timing belt. In fact, as soon as that's done, so maybe next week, I'll go and register it and insure it, and we can take it out on the road. The positive side, obviously, is that it now, you can hear the petrol pumps going. That's because I haven't put the cap back on, but it starts and runs as it should, and that's brilliant. And obviously, for the first time in gracious knows how many years, I haven't got much by the way of brakes, but a little bit. It'll move under its own steam, more or less. Well, not more or less, in fact it drives fine. I don't know if it's crashed into anything. So there we go, those are the positives. back, there are no warning lights. I know it doesn't have a check engine light as such, but the alternator seems to be working. You know, all of the indicators and things were working anyway, we knew that. And it runs pretty smoothly. Look how tiny these wing mirrors are compared to the ones I have on my bus, and even this inside mirror is not huge. Right, let me turn off the engine and say goodbye. Okay, well, I might have worked it out. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday, which is the day of resurrection. And that might explain why we didn't quite get where we were supposed to get today. In the meanwhile, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for all of your comments. The comments that put me onto things like changing the brake fluid, which we'll be doing very soon. The timing belt, all the little things that I wouldn't think of. And I'm glad I got some really nice comments from our little trip out for lunch. So it's always nice to read the comments. I've been quite busy with Easter and the kids and work and everything else, so I haven't had time to answer many comments recently, but I will. And I've got some things on Instagram to answer as well. I'll try and get around to that as soon as possible. In the meanwhile, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Easter, or whatever it is that you're celebrating, Passover. I don't know if there are any other celebrations going on at the moment, but pretty much everyone will have a day or two off. And if you don't, we'll have a nice weekend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with this. I know this was a pretty boring video, but we did get a little bit done. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.